Imagine holding a small, heavy disc of metal in the palm of your hand. It is cool to the touch, worn smooth by the passage of countless other hands over nearly 2,000 years. This is not just an old piece of metal, it is a Roman coin. It is an object that fits neatly in your pocket, yet it tells a story of immense power, sprawling empire, and daily life. This small object was both a simple tool for buying a loaf of bread and a sophisticated instrument for broadcasting an emperor's authority across continents. Stamped into these tiny artifacts are the secrets of how money and power became linked. Roman coins were far more than just currency. They were mass media, portable government propaganda that traveled to the empire's far corners. While a grand statue might stand in Rome for centuries, a single coin could carry an emperor's face to a soldier on the German frontier, a merchant in Egypt, a farmer in Britain. It was a daily, tangible reminder of who was in charge. We'll explore the coin's dual identity, everyday money and a symbol of imperial might, and uncover the hidden stories they still tell. We'll look at how coins were made, where they bought bread and paid taxes, how imagery announced victories, celebrated family, promised prosperity, and even erased enemies from memory. A coin was never just a coin, it was a statement. A Roman coin was a piece of carefully designed art, meant to be both functional and impressive. The coins came in a hierarchy of metals that clearly signaled their value. At the top was the Aureus, a beautiful gold coin that was worth a small fortune, used for large transactions, military bonuses, or by the very wealthy. The most common silver coin was the Denarius, the workhorse of the Roman economy, often equivalent to a day's skilled labor. Below these were the bronze and copper coins, such as the sestertius and the As, used for small, everyday purchases. This system created a flexible, sophisticated monetary network, serving every level of society. On the obverse, you'd almost always find the ruling emperor or his family. A radical innovation, the mass-produced face of a living ruler. Portraits were remarkably realistic. A prominent nose, a receding hairline, a stern jaw. Even the illiterate recognized their leader, creating a personal connection across vast distances. The reverse was a canvas for messages, victories, fairness, and stability. New monuments, the standards of Rome. Legends listed titles, honors, and dates, turning each coin into a miniature historical document. Irregular shapes betray hand-striking. Quality ranged from Rome's masterpieces to crude provincials. Weight and purity were critical. Citizens noticed debasement to fund wars or lavish spending, a telltale of crisis. For most people under Roman rule, coins were not abstract symbols of power, but essential tools for daily life. In a town like Pompeii, a woman walks to the forum with bronze asses and sestertii. She buys bread, vegetables, and fresh fish. Each transaction counted into a seller's hand. Money enabled urban specialization and trade beyond simple barter. A visit to the baths cost a quadrans, accessible to almost everyone, with extras for massage or a snack. In the Capone, wine was sold by the cup, and arguments over payment were timeless. Entry to great games might be free, sponsored by elites, but food and souvenirs cost coin. Workers expected pay in coin. Landlords collected rent. Lawyers earned fees. A remarkably advanced cash economy. People understood saving, lending, and debt. Moneylenders ranged from grand financiers to helpful neighbors. Not all joined equally. In rural zones, barter and in-kind payments endured, but even farmers needed coins for taxes or iron tools and pottery they could not make. Roman coins in remote villages signaled integration into an imperial system that ran on a predictable flow of currency. If daily commerce was the bloodstream, taxes and military pay were the heart. Rome was a vast administrative and military enterprise. The army, its greatest expense, stood across thousands of miles and had to be paid, fed, and equipped. Paying legions in sound currency was political survival. An unpaid army was a rebellious army. Rome built relentless taxation, land tax, tributum soli, poll tax, tributum capitis, paid in official Roman currency, requiring imperial coin forced every corner of the empire, even barter-based or local currency regions, into Rome's monetized system. Provincials had to sell goods or labor for denarii and sestertii, pulling value toward Rome. Tax collectors and later imperial officials assessed property, counted populations, and gathered gold, silver, and bronze. Revenue flowed to the imperial treasury or regional military chests, the circular flow that powered the empire. Taxes collected from provinces paid soldiers defending those provinces. Soldiers spent locally, coins recirculated and were taxed again. Unified currency enforced economic sovereignty, monetizing the subject's obligation to the ruler. A coin bearing the emperor's face made authority tangible, held together by the sword, the law, and the small, unassuming coin. A message in metal. Coins as tools of imperial power. Emperors' new coins were the most effective mass communication available. In an illiterate empire, a coin was a portable billboard. Each issue crafted messages, burnishing the ruler's image. A deliberate propaganda strategy. His face in every market, tavern, and camp. Constant reinforcement of authority. Portraits signaled maturity, divinity, or victory through subtle cues. Reverses announced campaigns, grain supply, and peace. Simple, iconic, repeated millions of times. In 69 CE, rival claimants minted portraits and slogans in a race for legitimacy. The speed coin spread was a direct indicator of power and control. The mint was a portrait studio with unparalleled reach, the official likeness for generations. Style signaled persona. Coins promoted dynasties with heirs titled Caesar and empresses as Augusta. Beloved rulers were deified. Despised ones faced damnatio memoriae. Statues toppled, names chiseled, coins recalled and melted, yet some defaced survivors bear witness. Roman coins traveled astonishing distances, beyond Italy and Greece to southern India and more. Merchants braved monsoons, trading gold and silver for spices, silks, and gemstones. A lugdunum Aureus could end buried in a Tamil kingdom, coins accepted as trusted bullion. Prestige spurred imitations in India. Vast hoards in northern Europe came via trade, diplomacy, and subsidies. Gold and silver payments were foreign policy tools. A coin in a bog or monastery is a message in a bottle of ancient globalization. Portraits aim for realism but could be fiction. Elagabalus's early coins showed a conventional leader. Rome met a flamboyant teen devoted to a sun god. Propaganda until power was secure. Coins projected strength, wisdom, authority, a carefully constructed mask of power. Erasure was never complete. Caligula, Nero, and Domitian survive on battered, scratched coins, relics of memory warfare. Look closely at later coins. Tiny mint marks below the reverse image, not part of the main legend. These codes reveal where coins were made, enabling quality control across a network of provincial mints. Tiny officina letters and symbols changed often, creating an internal chronology and accountability for workshops. Historians date issues precisely. A surge from Trier could signal legions assembling and looming campaigns. Imagine one Denarius, born in 112 CE under Trajan. A heated silver planche meets dies. Portrait of verse, Fortuna reverse, and with a crack it is born, bagged, guarded, and shipped. It joins a payroll to the Danube frontier. Counted into Lucius's hand, it symbolizes service and loyalty. On leave, he spends it on wine and stew. The tavern keeper drops it into a cash box. By morning, it pays for an amphora. By week's end, it rides east with a trader. For decades, it buys grain, pottery, livestock, labor. It surfaces where portraits soften, but value endures. A farmer is ambushed, his pouch tears. The denarius vanishes into soft forest soil. Seasons turn, centuries pass, the coin sleeps. Nearly 2 millennia later, a faint tone, a careful dig, and silver greets sunlight again. Under gentle cleaning, the emperor returns. Fortuna's cornucopia glows. Cataloged and conserved, its story joins the record, from mint to market, from loss to rediscovery. Christi were gorin sa desenban, standard in de sure, a vast life. A modern coin glints, cut to a Roman denarius. A Roman coin is a remarkable object, small enough to lose between floorboards, yet it carried the full weight of an empire. It bought bread, paid taxes, and opened the baths, lubricant of a complex economy. It connected a farmer in Gaul to a merchant in Egypt. Genius lay in duality, everyday object and extraordinary political art. Every transaction subtly reinforced state authority. Faces changed with each reign, familiar to millions who never saw Rome. Reverses broadcast victory, divine favor, and public generosity. Coins speak of global trade, political intrigue, rising emperors, fallen tyrants, and the machinery that ran a multicultural state. A single denarius ties soldier, merchant, tavern keeper, and farmer together. Modern portraits and symbols on money are Roman legacies. Money as identity, communication, and control. A Roman coin is a tiny object containing a vast history. Proof that power can be small enough to fit in your pocket, waiting to tell its story.